Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Kickball Podcast. Finals finished up for me. Xavi over here, he's been playing, he's doing his own thing, so he doesn't really have to worry about the exams that I got, but we got all the free time in the world for the summer. Today we got Xavi
Gnaulati.
Gnaulati. Xavi Gnaulati. I really appreciate the time for you, my man. And I mean, look, 20 years old, not normally the kind of profile that we're seeing a lot, at least on the pod, but a dude from the San Diego area, a California kid most of his own life. And I mean, 4 years of pro experience, the age of 20 before he's able to legally drink. It's always something that we got to just make sure to see the kind of perspective that we're looking at here. So, Xavi, I really appreciate the time, my man.
Nah, thanks for having me. Excited for this, and yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. So, I mean, I like just throwing you a couple questions just right before, and then I want to let you go and talk about your own story.
hmm
So, with the time, at least with Monterey Bay, you've been able to have a lot of sparks shown, at least in these Open Cup matches, and I think that's a lot of where we've been able to see your talent. I mean,
hmm
I profile you as a guy who's been a born shot taker, able to, have that on-ball ability, but someone who could have defensive action when necessary. What do
hmm
you think else you would add to that description? And then, we'll talk about some of the matches that you've really been able to shine in.
Yeah. No, my player profile is definitely more attacking minded player. My preferred position is attacking mid. I think I offer a lot in the final third, like creativity, driving at the back line, final pass. I do like to shoot as well, so. No, it's just kind of linking defensive side into the attacking third, and that's what I think I offer best. And no, it's been great so far. I've shown it a few times, but hopefully more to come.
Of course, and I think even looking back at the last match that you played, I mean, it's always tough when I know the last result that you had been in was against Colorado Springs, and this was a 2-1 victory in,
Mhm.
I mean, you look at just the point total in the Western Conference, that's going to be tight top to bottom. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys tied. I mean, if we were looking purely at points, you got the second most point total in the Western Conference, but lined up at five based on tiebreakers and everything else. But
hmm
in any case, looking back at the match against defending champs, you come in for that final third and you provide that spark really to be able to hold the 2-1 lead.
hmm
When you've got a match when both sides been able to score as opposed to it being nil all or nil nil, 1-0 kind of match. Tell me about providing really that spark in the final third, like you're talking about.
Yeah. No, it's obviously depends on the game, what the game offers, but every time I do look to bring that spark, be creative, have fun out there and just create that almost like fun energy and involve the crowd. And that's what I look to bring every game, even if we're winning, like you said, 2-1 against Colorado, or if we're losing. I remember beginning of the season. I don't know if we were losing or tied against Oakland, but bringing that every time is something very important, and I think that's what I bring to the table. So yeah, just able to offer that every time is what I want to do.
And I gotta imagine, I mean, I know you spent a couple years with I was gonna say San Antonio. I got San Antonio on the mind, but that's a couple, whatever, we'll see.
Yeah.
But at least looking at San Diego, that I gotta imagine your spark and that again, the skills that we had talked about, at least you being a born shot taker, being able to find the net when you need to. I mean, there's a couple highlight plays that we've seen over the last 2 years that really
Mhm.
showcase that. But I gotta imagine that that's where this pro contract, this stop with Monterey Bay really comes from. Seeing this exactly like you're talking about, and I mean, really seeing you as a young player that they wanted to extend at least in this past offseason. That had to have been a
Mhm.
huge thing really for you in your career.
Yeah, for sure. Super grateful to be here in Monterey. Amazing all around, amazing all at the club, from the top all the way to the players, the coaches, and having that opportunity to extend my contract and be here for 2 more years is it's amazing because starting at San Diego was very different, older locker room, very experienced players. So I got to learn a lot. I took in so much information and didn't see the field much, but I still felt like I improved every day. Um, and then coming to Monterey, maybe having a younger locker room, younger amount of players, still able to learn from those guys, maybe even give my input finally.
Right.
But no, it's been amazing so far, especially with this new squad we have.
it's so interesting too. I mean, not only do you look at Monterey Bay still being a relatively new club in championship, having not yet reached that playoff, but I gotta imagine, I mean, you're going to be a big part of these next 2 years of making that playoff push, whether it's this season or next season.
Hmm.
But then also that piece, and I was going to ask this even of you before you brought it right up, but the composition of this locker room, it just being something that's different that
Hmm.
you haven't seen at a professional level yet
Hmm.
to say in
Yeah,
your
yeah,
still two-stop pro career, it's just different. I mean, when you're in that younger environment where you talk about having your input really being shown, at least with some of these, I mean, there are younger dudes than you even in this locker room, I imagine. Like,
yeah.
and how does that really play into the dynamic of this team with an older team versus a younger team, in your opinion? And without getting too far into like team dynamics or anything else, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
pull information.
Yeah, no, it's definitely different. I think the group is so connected. Everyone likes everyone. We're always hanging out off the pitch, which is huge, and I think that's a huge reason to our success early on. But also, yeah, sometimes we are lacking that bit of experience in the game, or maybe we have a few minutes left and we're still trying to do, little things instead of being a bit more smart in the game. And we've been talking about that though, and we know. So we do have a good amount of very experienced players. So having them is huge for us young players and learning from them all the time, and then combining our youth and experience, and that will ultimately decide where we end up.
Yeah, I mean, already off to a great start. I mean, just in this first
Mhm.
part of the season, obviously it being huge until October, November, a long way to go. But I mean, you keep building on top of these certain wins and
Yeah.
these results, at least among this team. I have no doubt that this will end up being a successful season, at least the most successful season, the deepest that this season may have gone for Monterey Bay for sure.
Yeah, no, we're all very confident. We know it's super early on though, so we're top of the table 9 games in, but that doesn't matter right now.
Mhm.
This Western Conference, like we talked about earlier, I mean, everyone's there. Everyone can compete, so that doesn't mean anything. We're 10 games in, and we got a long stretch left, so we're just going game by game and trying to improve, and yeah, ultimately the goal is playoffs, but we want even more than that.
Right. So I gotta ask you, it's a bit more of a mindset question for you personally, but and you hear people talk about this all the time, and I got a sense of where you might be going with this kind of an answer, but I mean, how do you make sure that you're not looking too far ahead into a particular season? You mentioned game by game, but
Mhm.
sometimes you're up late at night, you're thinking about certain things that you could be doing better or certain
Mhm.
dynamics that you've got to adjust to, and it may not even be something you have to improve. It's just that kind of thing where after 9 o'clock, what I tell people regularly, not that I'm one to really be giving advice so much, not that I'm a professional or nothing, but don't ever think or don't ever trust the negative thoughts you have about yourself after 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock
Mhm.
Eastern time, it would be, relative to certain time zones.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I tell people all the time. But in the football background where things are so fixated on results and those things being very public, you're put in a different spotlight. What are the kinds of things that you put to test about staying consistent in your own rate, you still being a very young professional? I mean, there,
Mhm.
there are college guys who are older than you and haven't had a pro experience yet. You've got four.
Mhm.
It's,
Yeah.
I gotta imagine it's a different thought process for you.
Yeah, I like that saying about the 9 o'clock. That's a good one. But yeah, it's kind of what happens on the field. You do think about it, after training, especially you might not have the best training here and there, and you really start to be down on yourself. And I've learned to not do that. Kind of just, especially with the player I am, just kind of make a bad pass. It's all right. You're on to the next one. You still are. I'm in the spot I am because of the creativity that I bring. So I can't, just lack on that and like be like, oh, I missed that pass. I'm gonna be simple now. You want to still, bring that confidence and deliver every time. So it's yeah, you definitely don't want to be having too many negative thoughts. You definitely do want to reflect though. Look at film, think about what you did wrong, maybe think what you could have done better, because that I think is what's going to help you improve. Um, but just like you said, man, like don't want to be too negative, bashing yourself all the time because that could take a big toll on you.
Yeah, huge. I appreciate the insight on that, Javi.
Mhm.
Um, Now, I mean, I guess looking more into your own football journey, I've liked the conversation that we've been able to have, and we'll get back to it a little bit
Mhm.
further. But I want to give people the context and the background information about your own career, where you're coming from, what your experience. We've alluded a little bit to it, at least in certain conversations, but I want to give you the space, however long or short you want to make a story. I'm here for all of it. I mean, tell me about really growing up in football, loving the game, getting to a point where you're able to pursue it at the professional level, and I mean, where it's really been able to bring you so far.
Yeah, so started playing honestly ever since I could walk. My dad put a ball at my feet. He was a player. He grew up in Scotland, so football's in his blood. Yeah, he played collegiate soccer at Cal State Fullerton as well. So I think he wanted me to pursue soccer ever since I was young. But no, just growing up, loved the game since I remember. Going out, for hours in a day, just playing, having fun all the time, playing with my friends, playing the street, playing my backyard, um, and then playing rec soccer, and then transitioning into academy soccer was a little different. I was at Surf majority of my time, San Diego Surf, and that was amazing. Had great coaches there. That's how it developed. My dad was a big part of my career so far as well. He's taught me close to everything I know in the soccer world. So going from there, and then it started to become very serious around 14. We had a really good squad. We were number one in the nation at the time, getting to play against MLS academies and beating them. And kind of my whole team ended up leaving to MLS academies and that.
Mm.
And I was just basically stuck. Had to find a brand new team, get new players. Um, but I think what really made that successful was having the right people around me from a very young age, whether it was my best friends, my family, my mom, my dad. Um, they didn't want me to move away when I was 14 and go live by myself,
Right.
which I think was very smart. I wasn't ready for that. And then, yeah, transitioning, I got the first opportunity with San Diego Loyal. When I was 15, I got to a tryout, and ultimately from there, it kind of slimmed down, 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 and then they signed four of us to an academy contract, an amateur contract. And at first, just getting to train with the team was unbelievable. I players that have played in top English academies. I got players from Spain. I got players that played collegiate soccer here, so it was a very high level. And getting exposed to that early on was amazing. I mean, it was the best I could get.
Huge. Yeah.
Um, these guys are feeding their families. They have kids. Like it's a whole nother thing. And getting to realize that and learn that early on is like, oh wow, this is real. Like, oh my days, this is real.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, then improving every day, just working hard, taking in information, 17 and then 18, finally getting, you know, more exposure and more game time in that. Um, yeah, I enjoyed every single day of it. Being at home as well, having my family and my best friends right there. And then obviously with the news of the club not being around anymore, it was tough for sure. But then the opportunity came to be here, and I thought there was no better place. So yeah, just trying to grind every day and enjoy every day and improve.
It's such a huge part. I mean, you talk about the support that you've been able to have as a younger player. You still are a young player, but a younger player, 16,
Uh,
17 years old, just seeing this pro environment, but still having your family and friends in your corner where it wasn't, you're not going out to, I mean, I'll just name a city, but Charleston or Hartford or those kinds of
mhm,
other clubs that run young players that are able to develop those kinds of guys. Hartford, really, whatever. I could go into certain details, but
yeah,
I know a lot of Hartford guys have been able to make the move into college, and the
mhm,
Charleston guys that got the academy. But that's just semantics to bring it up. But
mhm.
it's such a huge part about your support system in making that huge jump to the pro game.
Hmm.
You know, how do you rely on those kinds of people? Is just really just for, even though you can't go to them to talk about how could I get better? Well, your
Hmm.
dad maybe, but how could
Yeah.
I get better with my touch or better with a certain skill? Like
Hmm.
how important do your friends and family really become, in that transition?
Yeah, no, it's the most important part. Whether it's I'm at my high and it's, keeping me leveled,
Yep.
or whether it's I'm at my low, I'm not performing well and trying to bring me back up. Yeah, speaking to my parents every day, or calling my buddy, like talking to him, just not even focused on like the game, just kind of getting my head away from the game for a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, but no, that's yeah, like I was saying, and like we talked about, I'm lucky enough to have that great support around me, and everyone should definitely have that.
And now, even with the change to Monterey Bay, what made you realize that that was the right move for you at the time? I know, of course, the news with the club, you were kind of forced into making that move maybe
Hmm.
earlier than you had anticipated or earlier that you would have been ready for. But
Hmm.
the opportunity doesn't wait. It's the kind of thing that you've got to go out and you take advantage of on your own. I mean, how did you prepare yourself really for this extended period of time where you maybe were not, right in the same city as your family and friends? What was
Hmm.
that like?
Yeah, no, it was for sure a tough decision. Having to decide where I wanted my next pathway to go. But yeah, I mean, I liked everything that the club was putting forward for me. They had full support for me. They want me to succeed. They want me to get to the highest level I can. And that's something that I really value. I want to, I strive always for the best, and the best that I can be. So I feel like that was the number one deciding factor, just kind of putting all their support into me and helping me get there.
So what's the kind of vision that they were able to really to convey for you? I mean, I gotta imagine that there were other options that you could have, maybe
Mhm.
looked to pursue. But what was the vision about Monterey Bay that really sold you about joining this kind of club?
Yeah, I think it was for sure like playing time that was the most important to me. I dealt with an injury very early on in the season, so I missed
Mm,
almost half the season, which was tough. But coming back from that, and even before that, the vision was, to get me more exposure, to get me playing time. Um, Obviously, you have to earn that coming in as a young guy. You don't just get to come in and be the top guy. But having to earn that and then getting the opportunity is an amazing feeling, and that's what they were able to offer me, and I really like that.
good. I'm glad, bro, because that's the kind of thing that, you know, when regardless of the leverage or experience between teams and clubs. There are certain organizations that and I don't say this with with a club in mind, but
Mhm.
just to say that you're going to be able to come and compete. You'll have your opportunity, and that may never have come because of a difference in direction or certain other players that come in that
Mhm.
change plans. And
Mhm.
I'm glad that that's the kind of thing that never really got in the way of you being able to get your shot and something that still continues now. I
Yeah.
mean, even as early on as the extension, like you talked about too.
No, yeah, for sure. That happens to young players a lot, which
Mhm.
is, very unfortunate for them, but that's important, when that happens to not like lose yourself and just kind of keep grinding, keep focusing on getting better every day.
Right. Yeah, huge part of the mindset. So I gotta ask though too. I mean, you had your you had your great moments in the short tenure so far. I mean, a year and change so far with Monterey Bay. I remember week 32 goal of the week winner, and
Mhm.
this was something. I mean, I forget the footedness. I think it was a right-footed shot, but I mean, ended up right into the whatever top left corner, I believe.
Yeah.
Strike. Tell me
Mhm.
about it. What was going through your head?
No, yeah, I mean, getting the ball from what I remember, from my teammate, just kind of driving into space, and I've been working a lot on finishing that aspect, and working so much with the coaching staff and Simon and Jordan, and then it kind of just came down to instinct, like, I've been working on this, like, rip the shot,
Yeah.
and fortunately it went in the goal, and yeah, I was just happy to celebrate that moment with my team.
And so tell me about the context of this though too. This was later on in the season, I believe Monterey Bay was still very much, in sight of that last
Hmm.
playoff positioning. I mean,
Yeah.
how, tell me about the gravity of that match though as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's obviously a top rival, Sacramento.
Right.
So going into the game, we knew it was, still to play for, so that was very important for us. And to just give everything. We're playing for a lot on the line, and just going into that game, kind of sticking together with the team, no matter what happens. We know it was a tough match to play. Obviously, playing away at Sacramento is very tough. But yeah, I mean, come down to the moment, it's just about sticking together and trying to produce.
And what's so funny too, I mean, what you talked about, this there obviously being this it coming between Amare Bay Club that this is the fourth season of its existence, and there very clearly is this rivalry for sure between Monterey Bay and Sacramento. I mean,
Hmm.
team that a lot of people think of when you start talking about USL Championship in
Hmm.
Sacramento, and then
Yeah.
really still this upstart Monterey Bay squad, still very new to the scene. I mean,
Hmm.
how does that play into the rivalry a little bit? Does that really mean that much more with this kind of thing? And then you even look at Oakland and Orange
Hmm.
County, other California teams.
Yeah.
I think California is the state to be for USL Championship.
Yeah. No, it's definitely an extra lit fire for us. Like you said, the other teams as well. Those are all rivalries we have, and not going into those games, we know it's going to be a rough game. Maybe not the cleanest game, but it's about trying to settle the game down, doing what we know how to do, which is play the game, play possession, create chances and be solid defensively. So going into those games, it's definitely something a little extra. Just like any derby or rivalry
Right.
match.
No, yeah. That I was like figuring out and observing these kinds of things from afar. I mean, I'm a
Hmm.
New York guy. They've got Brooklyn that's coming to USO Championship
Yeah.
here soon, but my closest championship team is Hartford. So I don't
Uh,
really see these derbies, in front of my own eye. And I gotta imagine that Brooklyn and Hartford will end up being something. I forget the highway that goes from New York to Boston. That's something
mm,
I should know, but
yeah.
being like the I whatever hell, I 95, I whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I love watching from afar, and
Hmm.
the fact that it really does mean that much more to the players is something that I think adds more to the fan base and
Oh
guys
yeah.
like me who see from afar too. Like,
For sure. Nah, definitely the fans, I know they feel it as well. They get
right.
extra rowdy, which is helps the players a lot. So,
Yeah, I mean, does I I ask sometimes too, because there's some guys that try to block out fan bases or may not have the certain perspective of seeing it from off the pitch. They're there, do their thing, and that's
mhm,
good. I mean, that's how certain guys get dialed in. What's
yes.
your perspective with, some of these interactions? I mean, I see you in pictures all the time with fans too. It seems like
Mhm.
it's not something that, you're willing to shun them out completely, that you are a people person for sure.
Yeah, no, I love interacting with the fans. They're why we're here. So,
Yeah.
even in bad moments with the club or for myself, it's still important to interact with them. You might get a little like message or something like that when you're in a bad moment, but that's football. That's part of the game. So just kind of move on from that, and you know that they're in your corner all the time. So just interacting with them and getting to spend time with them and hearing them when we're playing is amazing.
It's the kind of thing that feeds off this energy and I mean, just seeing the success moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's very successful when the fans are behind us, I believe, and it helps the players tremendously.
So here's another thought that I want to bring up though too that I know that became an exclamation at least just on the 2025 season, but also including a lot of the tournaments that you guys end up playing throughout the year is the Open Cup. I mean,
Mhm.
there's no getting around, us now being able to talk about the brace that you had earlier on in the match against what was it was Inter San Francisco, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then even being able to make your impact felt really. I think you played 90 minutes in that match, I believe. The
Mhm.
number escapes me, but I
Yeah.
mean, tell me about the lead up into that kind of match, the decision for them to go ahead, give you that start, and then
Mhm.
showing the club why that was the best decision.
Yeah, no, I from what I remember, that was like a Wednesday game. We had Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. And me being young, trying to stay healthy for all those games, wanting to get a lot of minutes in that. Um, so yeah, going into that game, I believe this previous Saturday I played some minutes, and then going into that game, I was playing a different role. I was more of a striker, and I think having that flexibility is very helpful for me as a player, but also for the team. Able to offer something different, maybe than one of our other strikers, and helping the team in a different way. So yeah, going to that game, just kind of not thinking so much, oh, like I want to score so bad, because more of letting the game come to you and being calm and confident throughout the game. So then when the ball does come to you, you're able to finish the ball. So yeah, I was obviously very happy to get two. I did want three, but two was good enough for that game. But yeah, just kind of building from that, not getting too complacent after that, and then moving on to the next game.
And you've got hat tricks. You've got the rest of your career to get as many hat tricks as you're going to be able to. I've got no doubt that those will surely come. Yeah. And then I mean, really just thinking about the view also of your career as a whole. Another thing that you brought up a little bit though too was, coming back from injury. I know from this was from last season, I believe that you had had. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I talk with college guys and I ask them a lot of this as well too, because you've got these guys who are looking to make that move pro. That's time that they're not out there and being able to prove themselves to pro clubs. But you having already signed pro, you having been in this environment, you've been there, multiple years at least, sure. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what I ask those guys all the time is how do you trust yourself to bring yourself to full 100% into your
Mm-hmm.
own mental state about going 100% in matches, being 100% in game,
Mm-hmm.
but also being 100% of yourself as well, because that time away from football takes a lot out of you. How do
Mm-hmm.
you, from your past experiences, how do you get back at being 100% mentally, physically, and
Yeah.
checking all the boxes above?
Yeah, no, it's a lot. Everyone says that injuries are the toughest thing about football. It's very hard coming back from them. You're so eager to get back out there, and you kind of just have to be patient. You don't want to come back too early, but you also just want to get out there.
Right.
So coming back from my previous injury was tough, very tough mentally. But once again, it comes down to the people that surround you. It's important to have those people around you in moments like that are very tough for you. Um, but even my recent injury, I just coming back from a concussion, month long. So the team maybe not in a good spell right now, but it's kind of just coming back and trying to help in any way I can. Whether it's even when I'm on the sideline, cheering guys on after they score, you know, complimenting them and giving them more confidence and that kind of thing. It's important to still be around the group and still be there every day and show up. And yeah, just when you're back from injury, then make sure you're a little careful. You don't want to try and re-injure anything or that kind of thing. But also take that fear factor out of your head and just kind of get to work.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's exactly it's yeah, it's a huge part that, to be able to say that out loud, but also considering, the everyday, getting back to this same sentiment like you talked about, getting back to 100% and not wanting to rush that process. The injuries and, the slip ups are just as much a part of football as, the matches themselves and the practices. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Huge. And then, even the other thing that I'm thinking about too, this, obviously this Monterey Bay team still being young, especially young at the attacking
Mm-hmm.
side, right around your position, but also a lot of the attacking players, you know, between all of these guys really looking to make their impact to try to get those wins for the club, but also the minutes on their own. How do you make sure that you keep your head down and that you're grinding, you try to weave your way through this roster of, again, hungry guys trying to just eat up those minutes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely tough. at the end of the day, everyone wants to be there to help the team. But that's very important. The guys in my position, I'm super close with. Like the forwards, you got Adam Larson, Anton. They're both similar positions, and they're my best guys off the field. Um, so having that connection, and we know we can help each other. This is not just speaking about us three. This is speaking about everyone, of course. But we know when, say I'm coming off the bench, I'm there to help. Maybe the player before me puts in a 60-minute shift and he's tired, he gave everything he had, and now I'm there to, finish off the game and
Right.
offer something a little different. So I think that's important. We all know our strengths and have different strengths, and we're all able to provide that. So that's super important, and having the friendship off the field as well.
Yeah, huge. All goes back to team dynamic, back to the spark that you're able to provide in the final third again, and
Hmm.
really just becomes a theme of just staying consistent, getting those wins when you guys can, and
Yeah.
pushing forward.
Yeah, and it's such a long season. Not everyone's going to play 90 minutes, 35 games a year. So it's also that's in our heads. Kind of want to stay healthy and help each other out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's just something that's so true, such a sentiment that really can just carry someone or carry not someone, but to carry a team through the 35 game season where there are going to be ups and downs and that's
Yeah.
just football and you've got to just keep pushing back through I mean really this entire series.
Yeah, exactly. It comes down to the squad. We've spoke about it before, and like the squad we have is amazing. We have everyone on this team can be a starter, which is something crazy to have.
Yeah.
And we all know that. So having healthy competition is the best thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think just yeah, I completely agree. I wish there was more that I really could add with this kind of thing. I mean, you know, so now with some of the off the field work that you're able to do, I mean, tell me about just you as a person
Mm,
outside of football. I mean, your career, a lot of your life really has been the sport that you've dedicated so much time to, but how do you make yourself, round as a person, like making sure that you're looking into other pursuit or not even I say this if there are other things that take up your own time in football, like tell me about some of this stuff. What makes Xavi Nalati the kind of
mm.
man that he is?
Yeah. Kind of depends on each person. Some people like to just do nothing. I do like to, I'm hanging out with friends. Decent amount. I like to golf. Like to be a little active. So yeah, I mean, even chill, like playing video games, reading, that kind of thing. I think being a little productive off the field is very important. Like I said, depends on the person. Some people,
Sure.
prefer to just lay around and nap all day or that kind of thing. Um, but no, I do enjoy, hanging out with the guys and just having a good time off the field because that's so healthy to have, and it helps me perform as well.
That's why I asked though too. I mean, I guess I was leading the way of, what are the kinds of things that you do off field. But I know there's some guys that it's strictly football and there's nothing else. And I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, it makes for it makes my job a little bit difficult to try to get to know the player a little bit more about these kinds of things. But I
yeah.
mean, there are certain guys, I'll tell you, there's some of the college guys that
Mm,
have come out this year, and I've done interviews with them before, and I'll say, Jesus Barea is a dude that came out of
oh,
Missouri State not too long ago, and when I was talking with him, not that I would ask leading questions about certain things, but I would ask about, what does your time off the pitch look like? No,
mhm,
100% committed to the match and just move on. This dude treated himself and every day like a true professional, and that's something
mhm,
I'll always be able to talk with him. I know he's with Real Salt Lake right now, and he was
yeah,
another dude that came out of college.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's
no,
fun.
sorry.
That's funny you bring his name up. One of my best friends was roommates with him in Missouri State, so we talk a little bit in that. So
So now
that's fun.
who's your boy? I gotta ask if you don't mind.
Elijah Zelkin,
Yeah. Yep.
he
He's
plays
a
at
baller.
University of San Diego now, so that's funny you brought him up.
He transferred this past window, I believe, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I think Julio posted about him too. Like
yeah.
we do the posts of the college
Uh-huh.
guys moving everywhere. Yeah, no, that's sick, man.
No, a lot of my buddies are in college, and most of them play college soccer, so it's funny to talk with you in that now.
So, I mean, you know, you having been in a position where, you haven't seen, well, I don't want to say this like it's a bad thing, but I always have an affinity to the college guys. I think it's a huge thing about building a specifically USL rosters and certain guys who are able to make the move out. You know,
Hmm.
you didn't end up choosing that route to be able to continue playing ball. I mean, you're 20 years, like I keep making this comparison, but I
Hmm.
just finished up my sophomore year of high school and you finished up your fourth year, or not finished up, but you're right in the
Hmm.
middle of your fourth year playing professionally.
Hmm.
Why was the opportunity with San Diego Loyal, sign the pro deal, get right into these environments right away. What made you feel like you were ready for that at that
Hmm.
age?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It was a very hard decision. Having the opportunity to talk to a lot of great schools, and then having the choice of which path I want to go for. It was a very hard decision. Ultimately, I decided the professional way was best for me. Um, for a few reasons. I really liked the environment I was in. Like I said, a very experienced group and getting to learn from them every day that I didn't feel I could get at a collegiate level.
Mm.
But there's both sides. I go to college, maybe as a freshman, am playing every single game and getting good minutes under my belt. But yeah, I just wanted to be in that professional environment ever since I was little. I always wanted to be a professional soccer player. So then that being a reality was something that I was very proud of. But also not being complacent with it and just being like, oh, now I've made it. There's still a lot more to go, and I'm hoping to have a very long career ahead of me.
Yeah, and it's a huge decision. I mean, you talk about it being a huge decision. I could only imagine what that's like for someone like yourself, but you've got to make the best decision for yourself, whether that is the college route or going right into the pro game. And I mean, it's certainly worked out so far. I think
Mhm.
hindsight's 2020, but I think this definitely was something that really accelerated you being able to get into these environments right away. And I talk about having these college guys or former college players on for the podcast, but so that's why I was worried, not worried, but I was like, oh, would he pick up? Would this be something that he's interested in, like to,
Mhm.
having with our thing? But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm appreciative of you wanting to come on and have just have the conversation about your career. Really, we're looking to expand, just one interview at a time with these kinds of stories. So.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you having me, and I've seen your stuff before, and I really like what you're doing. I think you're putting a lot of talented players on the map, and that's super important for some players to get exposure because they might not have that.
I mean, that's the end. And look, if Monterey Bay, I know a couple. I know there's Monterey Bay FC 2. I know there's the Monterey Bay first team. Like
Mhm.
we're always looking to, just highlight the young ballers, the guys who can't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, really anything. Like we've got to
Mhm.
do what we can to expose game. And I appreciate the compliment, man. I really do. That was dope.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
So, I mean, just some other things too, like, looking around. So relative, help me out with my New York brain. I like to think I know California kind of well, but I say that and then you get exposed on a pod. But tell me, how far away is San Diego from Monterey Bay? Like, how much of a move really was this for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's close, but not at the same time.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's like an hour flight, but it's about a 7 hour drive. So it is for some people that's long, but some people are like, oh, that's nothing. So, um, you know what? It is close for my family have came up a couple times and that. So that's been amazing to have. It's an hour flight, which is super convenient. But it's not too far. Just that drive is a bit long.
No, I'm like, I sit here, so I say my New York brain, like, I go to school in upstate New York, and it's a
Uh-huh.
4 hour ride. I'm from right outside New York City. So it's
Hmm.
a 4 hour ride to get from, well, a little less than, but a 4 hour ride from where I'm at to be up at school. And I came back
Oh.
like not too long ago. We had late finals. I'm like,
Hmm.
because I want to see this USL 2 stuff. I'm working with two teams right now,
Oh.
Flames and FC Motown, and
Oh.
I love seeing these. I love seeing the young guys come back and do their whole thing. But
Yeah.
I know one guy who plays in college right now. I had him on the pod the whole thing, and I was
Hmm.
talking with him after the game. But
Uh-huh.
a guy named Danny Iticherian, and he got drafted to DC United
Hmm.
in the latest super draft.
Okay.
and he came back from school on Sunday. So he was not 90-minute ready for this matchup, so he had to come off or come on as a reserve. And I hit him up after the game. I'm like, what happened that you weren't starting? Because this is a dude that like pretty
Yeah.
consistently was a dude who would be able to score. And
Uh-huh.
he's like, nah, bro. I finished basically what I told you. We finished the
Yeah.
final on Sunday, which they
Yeah.
do the same thing at my school. They give you Sunday morning finals. They give me
Uh,
two finals on Mother's Day.
oh my God, that's brutal.
Yeah, so I told my mom to let him hear I told them you can hear from my mother why I'm not home by now. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so this is a whole thing. But yeah, anyway, they keep I don't know what it is. So he goes to Princeton, I go to Cornell, and
Mm,
kept us late, but the whole thing.
jeez. Jeez.
We're all back now, you
Yeah.
know, doing our own thing, but it's a whole yeah, that was
Yeah. What do you like to do back home? What keeps you busy?
no, I mean, yeah, I do a little bit of play-by-play. I say a little bit. For the Flames in Motown, like I talked to you about, it's the a lot of play-by-play work. I like to just stay around the college scene
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, you get a lot of Jersey and New York guys are from the area and just trying to just keep up with watching soccer. Like that's really what I'd like to do. Like now
Mm-hmm.
and then. Yeah, I've got a bigger family too. I've got three younger brothers, so I like just hanging around with those
Mm-hmm.
guys.
Yeah.
Um. One now, well, we're going this weekend, I'll tell you. We're going down to Maryland, and so now my mind goes to, oh, where can I sneak off to go watch a game for the weekend for Memorial Day weekend?
That's fun.
Um, but we'll see what's relative to the area, but it's down in Aberdeen, Maryland. So there's this
Okay.
place. It's called the Cal Ripken Experience, and basically what he did, he put all this money, and he's got different locations in the U.S. I forget where like the other two or three are,
Mm-hmm.
but there's one in this little town, Aberdeen, Maryland, and
Mm-hmm.
there's like three different fields. They bring youth teams from all over the
Oh,
not all over, but all over the East Coast,
oh
and
wow.
they'll bring down these tournament styles. They'll let them
Mm,
go throughout the weekend, and they do it on Memorial Day weekend. And we went last year, and it was cool. They're like they look like little fields out of movies. They're so weird.
really?
They're like pristine, weird thing.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to look it up just on whatever, just on even if it's I don't even know if it's on social media, but just on Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird little stuff that's like, okay, will make you look twice because of how perfect that the grass looks.
Yeah. Bet
But
it's nice and green over there.
yeah, the kids love it though.
Uh-huh.
They have a blast. They feel like they're in the MLB. They do their own thing. Like, these
Yeah.
this is like their these like little leagues, believe it or not, they're like I wouldn't say they're like academies of baseball, but they're like higher up club teams.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
not trying to Declan's the younger brother who goes, he's on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I played baseball as a kid, not very good. I'm not even gonna hold you. I was not very good at that. Soccer was my main thing, but
Yeah.
he's my dad's baseball star now. Like he's the one that you
Uh,
feel like, okay, they can watch the Yankees together, the whole thing.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah,
Nice.
no, nice little thing that but again, I want to see what USL 2 is going on in the area. I'll go
Yeah.
take a look. I'll see what's up.
There you
I'll
go.
walk if I have to.
Yeah. There you go.
But so I've got to ask though too. I mean, what, you know, if you wouldn't mind me asking another thing about Monterey Bay, like how did that opportunity come up? Like, did they see you somewhere? Were you in the area? Like, what brought your name up to that organization? If you even know, I know
Mhm.
some clubs won't even tell you that kind of stuff.
No, I definitely know. It
Okay.
was so we played them in Monterey, 2023, San Diego. We played at Monterey, and I was on the bench, subbed in with about 10 minutes left, and I scored a brace against them, and we won 3-2. So that's kind of how they found out about me, and they
Got
kind of
noticed, yeah.
reached
That's
out to me after that, and yeah, negotiations from there.
perfect. Yeah, because I mean, I see a little bit of it. I do work for I work for a players services agency, but
Mm,
I'm not an agent myself. I help out a little bit just with contacts and everything else, like bookkeeping. Like
mm,
that's really what it's. But
yeah.
that's the first thing that my agent talks about is see where these guys played well before that they really showed out and get
Hmm.
establish that connection if the team hasn't already. So it's a big thing. That's funny that you bring that up because I know him talking about this a lot.
That's funny.
Um,
Wow.
Yeah, no,
Makes
that's and tell your agent that when it ends up coming to time though too. I don't know if you're like we don't have to get into that, but your
sense.
agent, whether you have one or not, you don't have to tell me. We don't have to get into all this like business stuff side, but um, tell him like for future if it ends up becoming a point, well, you very well could spend 12 years in Monterey Bay and never need this advice, but always, the teams that you play the best against,
Mhm.
establish those connections, that whole thing. That's always an interesting side of it.
For sure, for sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm even thinking about just generally overall. I know one of my guys, and we talked about the fan bases a little bit more about being more passionate. I know the dude I mean, my guy Noah, who
Hmm.
runs MBC, it's mouth MBFC discussion on Instagram. He does the whole thing and
Okay.
tells about the guys. And
Hmm.
I mean, you're one of the dudes that comes up that he really likes as a younger player.
Hmm.
And ultimately where I'm going with this conversation of like, you know, really with just the kind of, you know, quality organization that this has become, at least, I mean, even recently. I know there's been, a couple changes, at least with coaching and certain
Hmm.
front office changes, but that's not something that's unique to you guys. Every team goes through these kinds of
Yeah.
changes overall. Um, with just looking at Monterey as a whole, what would you say about just this culture, what this team really is able to provide, and what makes Monterey different than maybe some other XYZ other championship side?
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's a great question. Speaking about Noah, yeah, it's important to have, guys like that that are supporting the club nonstop. But yeah, to your other question, you know, I think it's like we spoke about earlier, we have such a connected group, even with the coaching staff to the players, to the front office, to the ownership. Everything's so connected. And I think that's so important to have to help the players perform ultimately on a game day night. Um, so yeah, I think that's super special about the club, the fans as well. Players going up to the fans. We try and take pride in that. Make sure we interact with them after the games, and also just a beautiful place to be. Monterey, California. I mean, can't complain about that. So yeah.
Like, yeah, that's the kind of place that I want to be at some point. Just as a life experience, just to go
Yeah.
out for a little while. Like, I'm looking outside my window. I wish I could even show you. There's just so much junk on this desk that I wouldn't even want to like mess up. I'll send you a picture at some point, but like,
Uh-huh.
you can't even see the damn sky. There's no
Aw.
sun that's out right now. So now I'm thinking about Monterey, California,
Aw,
and I
sorry,
really wish it was
sorry.
a chance.
Sorry, I wish I had mentioned that.
No, you're good, bro. Clouds always pass, man.
Yeah,
It's just that's just you've got to enjoy the sun while you've got it. That's
there
that's
you
actually what one of my teachers told me about. One of my
go.
professors up at school, she
Mm-hmm.
just gives a different perspective. It's always like, and I'm sorry, I swear, I never normally start talking about just like random stuff that comes up in my own thing, but I promise it's relevant. But she always says, there's too many off days or rainy days or cloudy days to not enjoy the sun. And it's always just, enjoying the good things while they're there. So, be
Yeah,
cognizant of when it's not 100% sunny out so that when it comes back out and when I'm down in Aberdeen, Maryland, and I'm enjoying my little brother's baseball tournament, that I really soak it up and I really enjoy it. Like really enjoying the good things is where that's coming from.
there you go. I like that.
Oh yeah. It's life advice with Javi and Danny.
There you go. Life advice.
Of course, we'll get back. We'll have a part two at some point, and we'll just
Yeah,
get going again. We'll do another check in at some point. We'll just keep the conversation going. This has been dope. Like
yeah, for sure. I've been enjoying this. We're vibing.
perfect. Yeah, I mean, even I'm trying to figure out where to even ask though too. Like just being a younger dude now, like how do you go about even adjusting to an adult life too? That's
Mm.
another huge part about just being your own thing. Like, do you see yourself? Changing a lot about the way that you do live as you get older, if it's something that you would change, like how about just your own personal life outside of football, like living on your own, feeding yourself, just budgeting, that kind of stuff that maybe
Mm.
a lot of the college kids haven't really, really gotten a full taste of yet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure it's tough. moving away on my 19th birthday into Monterey, it really becomes real like adult life.
Right.
But also with my surrounding players and teammates, you got guys that are 30, 25, that kind of thing. So I don't feel like I don't think that I'm like, oh, I'm the youngest guy. That never really goes through my head. I'm trying to, enjoy every day, and it was a tough change at first, moving away from family. But like you said, it is a little different than kids moving away from home to college when they're 18. I feel like it's not that full experience, but it is still a big change to a lot of people. Um, so yeah, having the surrounding people, teammates, the older guys, even asking questions off the field, asking for advice, that kind of thing is very important.
Huge. So
Yeah.
remind me again, I know you're 20 now, but when's your exact birthday? I can't imagine we're too far off. I'm 20 myself, but
Yeah, okay. I'm January 22nd, so I just turned 20. Not
yeah,
just
okay.
this year.
So if you can believe it, I'm older than you. I'm December 23rd, 2004.
Just
So
barely.
yeah, that's funny though. Yeah, crazy. Yeah, I mean, you think about, I mean, not that it's something that's really like plaguing your own mind,
Mhm,
but how you're living so differently than a lot of other people that are your own age. I mean,
mhm,
I feel like looking at the Premier League and the Bundesliga and wonder kids that come out of those areas, younger dudes that are playing at a higher level, it still doesn't take away from the fact that that's a huge jump and something that's atypical from, you know, a kid who, maybe is working another job or in college. You're
mhm,
playing a game. You're playing the beautiful game at that. Like,
mhm,
you know, I mean, is that become another motivating factor about, just the kind of situation that you're in and putting 100% in each day? And, maybe I'm making stuff up here and feel free to call me out on this stuff. But, you know, like just thinking about the different perspective of life that you really make
mhm.
you have this kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it's a huge privilege to be able to call this my job. It's in my opinion the best job in the world.
Yep.
So it's to be able to call this my job is something you can't take for granted. Not everybody gets the opportunity to do that, and not letting it pass by you and just kind of soaking it all in, but at the same time, your career doesn't last forever, so it's
Mhm.
taking it in, but also trying loving the good moments and also the bad moments too. You do have to love those, because it does when you retire from this game, it's a tough thing for a lot of people. So yeah.
It's just, yeah, I mean, it's something that I think even having that idea that it will end in not in your 50s or your 60s, but something
Mhm,
that will come at a point quicker than, I mean, looking back, it'll feel like a blip, but something that, you
mhm,
ultimately work towards a retirement in a way. Um,
mhm.
but yeah, I mean, I think that piece of it, knowing that a football career may end quicker than someone's legal career moving
Yeah,
forward.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that also is another thing about enjoying each day, like you talked about. It really goes back to that perspective, like you're saying.
yeah, for sure. Gotta enjoy each day and love it.
So I got to ask too. I mean, they've kept coming up in the frame at certain points, but I mean, you got a lot of ink on your arms, and it looks great. And I've even seen in some other pictures that Monterey will take, and I'm like, wow, it's like there's certain things all over.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about some of your favorite tattoos.
Yeah, I have a few. I have five. All of them do have meaning.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is Farsi, my mom's language, where she's from, Iran. It
Mhm.
means to always believe in yourself, always have faith in yourself. This one here is actually the date of my first professional goal.
Nice.
And then this one, probably know what this is.
Choke up
Kind
one.
of, yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much like play with flair. That's something that I think of every time before I go into a game. Like we talked about before, the creative type of player. Um, And then yeah, I have a couple others, but I would say those are my favorite ones.
Nice, bro. Like, so tell
Yeah.
me about the phrase though too. I mean, why is Jogo Bonito? I mean, I've even seen some other conversations just about I mean Neymar as well, someone who and admittedly this is a real where I got this from, but it really stuck with me. Like it's one of those ones where you think about for a little while after the fact. And you know, media may try to portray this guy as someone who never became king, the prince who
Yeah.
never became king, who never won a Ballon d'Or, never this or that or whatever else. But I think what's more important is preserving a game that's still fun to watch, preserving this Jogo Bonita. I mean, you
Hmm.
talk to Yamal and so many other kids that come from Brazil, but also guys from Europe and guys who are playing at the top level. And Neymar is the dude that they consider their inspiration.
Yeah.
Um, who are the kinds of guys that you find your inspiration from, that you try to take that play
Hmm.
with flair mindset from? Where does this come from?
Yeah, few players. Growing up, Dybala was
Right.
like
Yeah.
a guy that I enjoyed watching. Also Marco Verratti, midfielder. He was someone that was a little different position than me, but someone that I really looked up to. Nowadays, you have a lot of good players, a lot of good attacking midfielders. Florian Ritz, Bruno Fernandez, top attacking mid. I mean, I could keep going. Pedri is someone, but also Iniesta is kind of my biggest idol.
Right.
Growing up, that the way that Barcelona always played was something that I was just like in awe of, how they could play like that, and it was so entertaining, and that's what made me fall in love with the game.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always important. Now, how important were those guys to you continuing to play ball? Because I know there's some people that take the perspective of they don't have any idols except for themselves in 10 years and what that looks like. And there's
Mm,
a whole other mindset and it's a noble idea of being able to look at yourself 10 years, know that you'll never get to the person 10 years from now, 10 years of each day. But
mm-hmm,
how important are the guys that you watch on TV growing up, wanting to play like those guys, wanting to take certain skills from those guys
mm-hmm,
to ultimately being the actual player that you are? We can talk about idols and role models, but how do you
mm-hmm.
implement those kinds of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's so important. I think watching the game is so important because then you get to see that kind of stuff, and you're like, "Oh wow, I want to try that." Well, what did he just do?
Mhm.
Watching Ronaldinho play, you're like in awe. Oh my God, I want to go outside and try that as a kid. Um, and that kind of just brings so much joy. And then just it's getting to see them play every game and looking at their lives as well is it's something that I think is why a lot of kids want to be a professional soccer player. So yeah, I think it's important to have those idols and to watch the game.
Huge. It's almost like it's like a creative medium. It's an art form. And I'm getting more, whatever. I'm getting more abstract with certain things. But I mean, there's no one right way to play football. We've seen that through the decades. We've seen that through teams, through leagues, through
Mm-hmm.
what national teams value more, what specific teams value more, how to generate titles, develop, even expansion too. There's certain ways of, I mean, um, how San Diego and Monterey and
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at a report earlier. There are 18 potential teams in for League One specifically, but beyond with 2027 and beyond, we could have 18 more expansion franchises on their way, and they're all going to come up with their own ideas of how to run a club, how to best play their matches, different coaches that will come in, and
Mm-hmm.
looking more at the broader sphere, having different people to want to play off of in. Um, role models and ways to be able to just get better individually. There are just so many ways to play it right. And maybe you don't see a trophy come out of that in that particular season, but you still learn things. And
Yeah.
that's still where success in the game comes from.
Yeah, no, everyone has their different perspective on the game and how to play it. So I don't think there's a wrong or right way, but yeah, everyone has their own way.
So, Xavi, I mean, it's been a pleasure to be able to talk with you. I know, we've been going for, a good, portion of just, I mean, over the last hour. But
Hmm.
I want to leave you with the last couple of words or last thoughts. If there's anything you'd want to say to a young player, anything that you want to say to fans, anything you want to say to friends and family,
Hmm.
I want to give you the space to say that now if there's anything that comes to mind. But otherwise, I really appreciate you wanting to come on, and it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, for young kids playing out there, I definitely think you know, dream big, and put in the work, and you never know what would happen. But no, I appreciate you having me on here, and yeah, it was great bit of time there.
Of course, Xavi Gnaulati, everyone. You've got a supporter in me and kick a ball the rest of the way. That's no question. You just being on the pod. I mean, you've got us in your corner for, I mean, for your career and everything that's to come beyond it. We'll talk soon. I'm looking forward to, watching you return back for Monterey Bay. I mean, just return to the pitch in the next match. I don't say that whatever
Yeah,
honestly, but yeah, I appreciate the time and we'll talk soon, man.
thanks, Danny.